All right, just a couple more problems to go, Algebra 2 students. So I applaud those of you who are sticking with me and doing what you're being asked to do. So the first one, the ages of students in a gymnastics class are listed there. Determine the mean, median, and standard deviation of the ages, round to the nearest hundredth. So again, I went ahead and put them in my list. I click Stat Edit. I put those all in L1 just so that way you don't have to watch me type them all in. So once you put them in L1, you're going to go Stat, Calc, one variable statistics. Yours might still say L2 if you just did this with me and change that to L2. So remember, you just click Second List and then grab L1. Go ahead and click Calculate. So again, it says round to the nearest hundredth. So our mean 10th hundredth, that's 2 decimal places, is 9.14. So the mean or the average age in this gymnastics class is 9.14 years old. Our median, we're going to need to scroll down for. Our median is 8 years old. Median is 8 years old. And the standard deviation, remember this is, we're going to use the sample standard deviation unless it specifically tells us to use population. So 9.71. So 9.71 years is our standard deviation. Not 9.7. Where did I get that from? I'm so sorry. 3.7. I was going to say that's a massive standard deviation. Okay, 3.7. Describe the shape of the distribution. So our mean is greater than our median. So let's go back up here. Our mean is greater than our median. That means it must be skewed right. There's a significantly more younger girls in this class than older girls. I feel like that makes sense. Gymnastics is kind of a sport where, you know, there are a lot of young girls who want to try gymnastics, and then as the skills get more intense, less and less people stick with it. Okay, and the last couple problems here. Determine if the situation is likely to be uniformly distributed, normally distributed, skewed left, or skewed right. The home prices in an impoverished neighborhood. Do you think that all the home prices would be symmetric? Like most of them would be around the same, but there are some higher, some lower. Do you think that a lot of them are lower and then there's only a couple higher ones? Or are you thinking only some of them are lower and most of them are higher? I personally think if it's an impoverished area, it's probably that it is skewed right and most of the home prices are probably lower to accommodate for the lower income. So I'm going to guess here that it's skewed right. So that would look like a distribution like this, where most of the home prices are less than the average. And then the salary of the CEO for every publicly traded company. I just watched a movie yesterday. Oh man, I don't know what it was, but it was about like Ponzi schemes and how in 2008 some guy like ripped off billions of dollars. It was very interesting. No idea what it was called, but it was on Netflix. My husband picked it for us. It was interesting if you want like a fun to watch movie, but then at the end when the credits were rolling, they were telling you all these statistics and it was a little crazy. Lots of money stolen. Okay, so it was about police officers also, if that helps. I didn't say that. It was about police officers. Determine if the situation is likely to be uniformly distributed, normal, skewed left, or skewed right. The salary of the CEO for every publicly traded company. So do you think CEOs are all making the same amount of money? Or what do you think it'll look like? So here are your options. The fourth option they're giving us is one thing that's called uniform. Uniform means it's not a bell curve. It's just like everyone's getting the same amount of money. Like here's our graph, right? If I could draw, that would be like a horizontal line. It wouldn't be, the slope would not be positive there. So it would just be like, let's see. Just be like that. Everyone's making the same amount of money. Okay. So do you think CEOs, are they all making the same amount of money? Are some of them making more than others? Are some of them making less than others? What do you think here? So I'm thinking like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, those types of people, like they're making a lot of money. But then I imagine there are CEOs of other publicly traded companies that are like smaller businesses that maybe aren't making as much money. And I'm sure there are lots of companies like these toilet paper companies and food companies and grocery stores and delivery services that are making more money now than they would normally. I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't think they're all making the same amount of money. It's probably skewed in some way. I have to think that it again is probably skewed right, where there's only a couple people making these billions and billions of dollars that we cannot even fathom, and most people are making a more reasonable amount of money. But because they're not really giving us numbers here, this is kind of hard to guess. So just try to think about the situation and think about what that looks like from your eyes. We all are looking at the world with a different perspective. So maybe my perspective is naive in thinking that only a couple people are making these billions and billions of dollars. Maybe a lot of CEOs are making a ridiculous amount of money and I'm just completely unaware and oblivious. Either way, I'm happy not knowing. So with my information on how much CEOs make, I'm going to guess that it's skewed right. And it looks like this graph also, where there's people like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates who make a lot of money, but most people aren't making that much. But again, it just depends on your background and how you're looking at the information and how you view the world, because they're not giving us data points to look at. When they're giving us data points to look at, there are definite right and wrong answers because you can calculate those values. But when they just give you an idea, a concept, it depends on how you view the world and how your worldview shapes your opinions. Okay, so that's the end of our notes for this lesson, 11.3 data distribution. I have for you an assignment on Pearson Realize that goes over these concepts. And I do just want to let you know, once we do 11.4, which is about normal distributions, I will be assigning to you guys a statistics project that I'm going to have you complete, even though we are away from each other, because we have technology and social media. You'll still be able to complete this project. So just be aware, and for your time management needs, that you will have a small project coming up. It's nothing crazy, but it is more than just videos and Pearson Realize coming up. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns, and I really appreciate those of you who are watching these videos.